Hello, my people. This is Hosea Mbutukakuja, and this is Soul Capture Discussions from my book, Soul Capture Dimensions, which you can get on Amazon and other bookstores online for your own consumption and soul edification. Um, our last discussion was hinged on the captivity of the soul with regards to world dominion, an attempt by men to rule what God is rightfully the ruler, to rule all of God's creation, for mankind to want to equate themselves from God. Let's look at the attempts the devil tried to corrupt the minds of people to make them begin to feel that they are equals as God is. Um, the last discussion we said uh, God made us in His likeness, and God is incorruptible, and we were put on this earth to live incorruptible lives. And the devil, who was already corrupt with the first sin of pride and self-exaltation to the position of being higher than God, was already corrupted. But he was hovering upon the earth, and here God came and made men, and they were going to be multiplying themselves, and you see a host of incorruptible humans. And God has said, take dominion over the earth, rule and subdue it. But he had principles. But when the devil sees that he is not the one to rule the world, he decided to corrupt men, because he knows that when you are corrupted by the devil, when you become corrupted as against being incorruptible, you automatically put yourself against the Lord. And the devil brought the first sin that he attempted in heaven when God threw him with some angels off to the earth. He tricked the man with the apple, saying, giving him the idea that you will be like God. This is again equality with God. While he's trying to make man feel that he will be like God when he was already made in the likeness of God, the ultimate purpose of the devil was to make sure that he made an entire corruption of what God has made so that it falls under his rule. He's trying to rule over what God has made, even as it is now. So the devil trick man. The idea was to make man feel like God. He believes God. He believes he is God. God came down to the Garden of Eden and pronounced judgment on both man and the devil for attempting to take his place. But God knew that man only got deceived by the serpent. So God also made reconciliation provision for man to have victory over Satan, his lies and his deceit through the seed of the woman who came as Jesus Christ. Now, what we're talking about here is, and the Lord God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. He shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. That's Genesis chapter 3, verse 14. In the book of Genesis 1 to 11, Genesis 11, 1 to 11, we see a repetition of the influence of the influence over man. That is in the story of the Tower of Babel. The influence of evil and corruption over man, where man attempted to also build a tower and get to the point where he will reach the heavens and they will make a name for themselves. We read it before in that other one, say, and the whole earth was of one language and one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, and they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there, and they said one to another, go to, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly. And they had bricks for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, towards whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered upon the face of the earth. And the Lord came down and to see the city and the tower which the children of men built. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this is the beginning to do, and now nothing will restrain them from which they want to do. Go to, let us go down, and therefore confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Mankind had already turned themselves to the enemy as the enemy of God, and so God came and scattered their tongue. And what they were afraid of is what they ended up. They didn't want to be scattered in the face of the earth, but God eventually, by just confusing their languages, they were scattered over the face of the earth. And today we have these nations and all the tongues that we have. And now, from hence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of the earth. That's Genesis chapter 1, 1 to 9, chapter 11. Genesis 11, 1 to 9. That is the Webster translation. Now, if you see, that was another repeat of the devil's attempt to get mankind to equate themselves with God. Not being in the likeness of God is different from equating yourself with God. Even when the Bible calls us gods, the God is with a small g. We are little gods, he said, if we walk in his righteousness. You see how the soul again was corrupted to take decisions and actions that brought the wrath of God. All because someone wants a rule to be in his control. Now you tell me it was men who decided that, not the devil, because they will say, where did you see the devil from? But we are controlled by two realms, the realm of evil and the realm of righteousness, or the realm of sin and the realm of good, evil and good, or righteousness and sin. So, the two guys that are in charge of these things are the devil and God, the creator of all that exists. He is the one that is for righteousness and goodness. No one is good but God. And so, the devil is corrupt. He's the originator of sin. And so he has nothing to offer but sin. And he has seen those who will inherit the earth. And he does not want the idea one bit. So what he has to do is corrupt this humanity, me and you. Because the moment we get corrupted, the Lord God, it turns us to enemies of God. Because you will begin to exhibit acts of wickedness. You start walking and applying and exhibiting, working by the principles of darkness and wickedness and sin, principles of sin, which God detests a lot. So the intention of building the Tower of Babel was entirely anti-God. It was entirely anti-God because God's will and consent were totally left out of it. Just like his will and intentions are totally left out of democracy. See, democracy is the one grand attempt to also put God under his will and intent were not originally incorporated and considered in building the Tower of Babel. God's instructions and principles were not observed when they took the fruit in the Garden of Eden. And the deceit was that you will be like God. You will know good and evil. You have knowledge of good and evil. Now, in Tower of Babel, these are mankind under the deceit and corruption of the mind again. Corrupted minds now decided, let's build ourselves a city that goes up into the heavens so that we can make ourselves a name. God was now out of the calculation again. They were one language. Today, the world is trying to get us to speak one language. I think English is the most spoken language today on earth. But now computers are beginning to bring us together to understand almost everything from any language at all. So you see, there is a build-up again of the Tower of Babel. This project is not completed. They are determined to finish that project. Man was aiming at exalting himself to a greatness comparable to that of God. And Lucifer succeeded in having mankind repeat what he attempted in heaven to overthrow God from his throne. And again, the judgment that confused the tongues of mankind, scattered them all over the earth. God came down and he did that. So, we also had another attempt. In the book of Daniel chapter 40, chapter 4, verse 30 to 34. Daniel 4, 30 to 34. King Nebuchadnezzar was overwhelmed by the power of his throne. He attempted to exalt himself as God. Instantly, his attempt to exalt himself as God instantly had him checked by placing him on a 7 years punishment as a wild animal, a wild beast. After he repented, God restored him. Let us read the story from the book of Daniel. And king was saying to himself, is not this great Babylon that I have built by my might, power, as a royal residence, and for the glory of my majesty? While the words were still in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, King Nebuchadnezzar, to you is this sentence: your kingdom is taken from you, and you shall be driven from among men. Your dwelling shall be with the field animals. You shall be made to eat grass like an ox, and 7 years shall pass over you, till you learn that the Most High rules the kingdoms of men, giving it to whoever he wills. He instantly the sentence upon King Nebuchadnezzar was executed. He was driven from among men, ate grass like an ox, and his body was wet with dew from heaven, till his hair grew as long as eagle feathers, and his nails as the claws of a bird, a flying bird. Don't mind my pronunciation. At the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes to the heavens, and my reasoning returned to me. I blessed the Most High and praised and honored him, who lives forever. For his dominion is everlasting dominion, and his kingdom endures from generation to generation. Now that is Daniel chapter 4, verse 30 for you. And this attempt of trying to get men trying to get themselves to feel that they are gods is there. You lose your soul, you lose control of your soul, and you try to take the place of God. It means working against the righteousness, the principles of righteousness of God. You begin to set out your own principle or follow the principles of evil, and you think God is not there. You think you are God. So, the logical explanation to these questions and many others cannot be exhausted in just this discussion. However, we shall share more with you in subsequent chapters. Understanding of the supremacy of God and why it cannot be contested. We must understand the supremacy of God and why it cannot be contested. You will understand why every attempt to contest God's supremacy is immediately punished or uprooted by God himself. Brethren, the quest for greatness and supremacy over the universe by the devil and his human captives are the factors necessitating the conquest and captivity of human souls. Gathering men who are willing to work for Satan so that he will be king over all of God's creation. To prove to God that even what you have created, I take it from you and I rule it. And there is nothing you can do, God. That's the idea. That's the idea. You letting your soul to go that far, to take that position. You are actually making yourself provided, your soul provided for actualization of this mission by the evil realm, the kingdom of darkness and wickedness, the world, so to say. We'll talk about the world eventually, because the world, God did not create the world, God created heaven and earth. So this quest has been in existence since the origin of sin. Sin originated in this manner, trying to be above God. That was the origin of sin. And who created it? The only thing the devil created was sin. He created sin, and that's all he can offer you. No righteousness. So it is the whole essence of sin to make sin supreme over righteousness. That's the issue. Next time we're going to be deep, getting ourselves into the concept of sin and see how sin is a very, very powerful tool that is corrupting your soul, corrupting our souls, and making us instruments in the hands of wickedness and principles of darkness, principalities and powers of darkness. Once again, my name is Hosea Mbotukakuja, and I think we've had a good time discussing this. My book, Soul Capture, is online. You can get a soft copy and read through yourself. You can get it on Amazon, Lulu bookstores, and many other bookstores. The title is Soul Capture Dimensions by Hosea Mbotukakuja. And God bless you as we discuss more. Follow me on my social media handles, and we can continue to share